What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the ASL Round of 8 Match 2 today with Jaedong versus Light. We're trying something new, as you can see. I've got myself and Xun up here on the screen. It's going to look a little bit like a podcast here. I think this will be a better visual representation of what's going on. You can see the audio is muted until the game starts, and you can see our names and we're talking. So, yeah, we'll give this a try. Let us know what you think of it. Oh, it seems like your voice is not reacting there, Xun. Keep talking though. I'm gonna try and fix it. Oh, hold on. Can you talk again?
All right, talking again.
Okay, there you go. Go ahead, Xun. There you go.
Okay.
Your mic is live.
Well, I hope you guys are excited today because we had an absolute banger of a series yesterday in Best versus Queen. I feel so vindicated after that series. I was really rooting for Best from the start, regardless of him being down 3-1 at one point. I'm so stoked for him. He's going to be facing off against one of these guys today. It's either Jaedong, the Donger himself, the Tyrant Zerg, up against Light, the Invisible Terran. Light is absolutely insane in these offline events. He hasn't necessarily had the bestest of results against Jaedong in recent times, but when it comes to these offline events, no one comes to the cold killer instincts of these guys. They're so grizzled and experienced. They're the exact same age. They've been in the scene for more or less the exact same time. They do not get phased or tilted nearly as much as some of the other players do. This best of 7 is going to be off the chain, saying.
Yeah, this is definitely one I've been looking forward to, guys. Honestly, so many great matchups here in the round of 8, but this one stands out kind of above the rest. We had an amazing Best versus Queen show, but this could even be better, guys. It depends on how it goes. Jaedong and Light, this could be a sweep. Either way, it's so hard to call, but I expect there's going to be a lot of fireworks here. It's going to go back and forth. We may even get to a game 7. That would be absolutely insane. Super hyped for this one, guys. Light has such a wealth of experience. He's so good in a best of 7. But you know what? Jaedong has just as much experience, man. He's been around forever. He is not scared of this stage. He is not scared of playing offline. And yeah, like I said, has huge amounts of experience.
It's kind of crazy. Like, you can't really compete with this level of experience. As long as their wrists are attached to their arms, saying these guys can play out of their minds, they are able to follow such crazy decision trees, and their execution capability is literally off the charts. No one has played as many games as these guys have, except someone like Flash. There's not really anyone that competes in terms of just raw thousands of games worth of practice, understanding every potential game state that can occur, and they're both extremely dynamic players. The range of play that can be decided by these players at any given time is completely insane. It's not like they get pigeonholed into one way of playing. Jaedong could open any kind of way, like a really fast pull, really fast lurker tech, any kind of thing. It doesn't have to play a standard mutalist skin to defiler transition. I mean, we also going to be seeing some craziness out of the Light. You know, 2-port raise, Valkyrie builds, mech switches. It's just insane, the caliber and range of play that's going to be on display in the series.
Absolutely. Jaedong, totally capable of pulling off a Ling all-in. He's been doing it a lot lately to make these other players scared. By the way, guys, these two have gone back and forth a lot in the KCM recently. They've had a whole bunch of games in the recent couple of seasons, and it's just been tit for tat going back and forth between the two. So I'm really curious to see how these guys are going to look in a best of 7 after so many games back and forth in that tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be really curious for me as well, exactly how they stack up. Look how calm and collected they are. Light always just looks completely unfazed, like he's an AI just ready to execute the programming that's been instilled into him after just honing his abilities after decades. It's kind of crazy, honestly. Jaedong has seen some jitters on stage in recent times, but this season he looks like an absolute killer. Nerves of steel, and his ability is one of the highest it's ever been in many years now. He was struggling a little bit a few years ago. So it did seem like he was in a permanent slump, unable to perform, like he was just kind of past it, a little bit of a has-been, but you were sleeping on this guy if you thought he was a has-been and washed up. He's just like getting himself nice and clean, ready to come back to the main event and show you why he's considered the tyrant.
The thing that I noticed the most about Jaedong was recently he had more of that killer instinct and that more of that real heart, that grit that you need to play a long series. He was not giving up in any of his games, never tapping out early, and always looking for the comeback, sometimes making some ridiculous, insane comebacks from really difficult positions. That's what I want to see from Jaedong. And it's awesome to have him in this form, guys. We're just super excited to see who's actually going to win this one. It's so hard to tell, but go ahead, Xun, give your prediction.
I mean, my prediction is a 4-2 or 4-3 Jaedong victory. I think it could go all the way. Death Valley is going to be map number 6, so luckily that won't be the decider map if they do like kind of tie it up 3-3 at that point. It's going to be insane though. It's so hard to call. I mean, Jaedong has been reining in his overcommitments a lot lately. He's not been so hyper aggressive, and he's been much more calculated in his aggression, and has kind of adjusted his style accordingly to stop throwing his games nearly as much. And he definitely seems more confident in navigating the game state rather than just throwing his leads or not able to keep up with some of these other guys' decision-making ability. Light, for example, he's the kind of guy to cut his SCVs around that sort of 35 to 40 number to make sure he gets his production online, extra barracks, extra units to kind of hit these crisp timing windows, which most Zergs will fall flat on. But Jaedong is probably going to be able to keep up with those. Light is going to struggle to find the chinks in the armor of Jaedong here to be able to overcome him, I think.
I'm not as certain as you, Xun. I really don't know how to call this series. I think that Light may be able to take it. It's just so hard to say, guys, what kind of shape Jaedong is going to be in today. He has been improving a lot. He has been focused way more than in previous seasons. Light is just such a monster, though, getting through first. I hate to say it, I think Light is probably going to win this, but I wouldn't be surprised no matter what the score is at the end of this.
It's good that if we root for different people, I'm happy with that. I'll take Jaedong, you take Light, and either way, we're going to be happy. I would love to see Jaedong go through just so that Best can get more practice against Zerg, and even if Best doesn't win, then we have potentially a Zerg versus Zerg finals, and that's probably the most likely opportunity we have of dismantling Sulky if he makes it through all the way, which is very likely. I can't even believe this, Say. We've had such an amazing ASL this season. It's been one of the best ASLs in a long time, probably for I don't know, maybe even 8 years, I would say. It's been one of the best ASLs in a very extremely long time. Everyone just seems so good now. They've been performing out of their minds, scraping off the rust, and are ready to perform at the best of their ability to see some glory before their wrists fall off.
Yeah. Some of these guys, like Speed especially, it really seems like he's speed running a wrist injury. The speed at which he's playing is kind of unbelievable. We'll see, guys. I really don't know who's going to be able to take this. Either player who goes through, though, I think they're going to have a great match versus Best. I know that Sulky is going to be cheering for Light here. He actually chose him to get into his group and beat him. So, I mean, he's probably hoping that Jaedong gets eliminated right now. That's the last Zerg player that could get to the finals to challenge him in ZVZ. Everybody else is going to have a really hard time versus Sulky. He is just so well prepared for those other matchups. And the only reason I don't think he's as prepared for ZVZ is because there's no real way to prepare fully for that matchup. It's just too insane.
Yeah, it is. And you can see by the statistics here, it's been a long time coming since Jaedong was performing in the ASL. That 3-0 win was all the way back in season 8. It's in the round of 8. That's just a long time ago now. It's going to be really interesting to see if he can perform to the best of his ability. He's not been able to do it in recent years, but this season, in the last 8 or so months, he just seems like an absolute monster. He seems hungrier for it than some of these other guys. Light does also seem very calm, calculated, and ready to perform, but I don't think he's nearly as hungry for this as Jaedong is. There's something about Jaedong that makes me think he's got this fire in his belly and he's ready to gobble Light up.
Both these guys, you'll see it in a moment here when we get into these games. They are both completely blank when they play Broodwar. Unlike players like Mini or other emotionally driven players, these two they have that death stare when they're watching the screen. Nothing phases them. They're just completely blank in every single game, reacting accordingly and not letting anything get to them. They both have such a vast wealth of experience to draw upon, not just in Broodwar, but also in tournament. They have been playing tournaments for years, decades even, and they just do not let anything phase them. So these two guys are an amazing matchup to watch, guys. I can't wait to get into this one. We're getting a bunch of stats here. Not sure what this is all about, but I can't wait to see exactly what their ASL stats are against each other. I assume Light has a winning record, but I might be wrong.
I think historically they're actually pretty even overall. It's actually kind of interesting. I think they're almost dead even. I think one of them has like a slight edge, like a 53% statistic, but not by much. It's coming down to the wire. These two guys. It's going to be really interesting to see how they line up today. I really do think that Jaedong can take it, but Light is just a different kind of animal in these offline events. If it was online, I would definitely say Jaedong is an almost guaranteed victory here. But offline, it's very tough to call. I am still going to be rooting for Jaedong, absolutely. I want to raise my dongers for him, indeed. But as far as Light's concerned, you can never count him out. It doesn't matter if Jaedong is 3-0 up in this round, in this best of 7 round of 8. Light can still take it. Jaedong could still take it if he was down that many games as well. They're just absolute laser focused and nerves of steel, unlikely to let most things phase them. It's going to be kind of crazy. We see a Light getting a victory over Jaedong in the season 18 round of 24 there, but pretty much not having that many historical performances in this offline ASL event. Most of their show matches have been online.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Just one game in ASL between the two of them. That's pretty rare for two players that have been around for so long. But we've seen that record doesn't really mean much. Yesterday, best was 0-7 against Queen and ended up taking that 7-game series kind of a spectacular fashion. So just hold off on judgment. Don't need to read too much into these stats here, but look at Jaedong's 57% win rate. Funnily enough, 38% win rate versus Zerg. It used to be known as the JVZ matchup, Jaedong versus Zerg, but he's kind of fallen off in that matchup since the Kespa era. I'm sure that'll turn around again as long as he continues to practice the way he has been and stays hungry. I'm sure he's going to turn around a lot of these stats.
Yeah, most of those negative stats are from his slump period where there was a few years where he was just unable to perform and he was unable to dominate like in his Kesper era. Basically, back then, he just would never lose a game once he had any kind of advantage, either from the build order or supplies or, being one Mutalisk ahead of his opponent. That's what made him so dominant and also could kind of hold his own when in a bit of a build order loss situation. Light, I don't know what's going to happen today. I mean, his statistics don't really represent his skill either. He's an absolute Terran versus god when he's playing out of his mind. You don't want to sleep on this guy. He has the caliber to take out any Zerg on the planet, maybe save from Soul Key right now. He is going to be looking to prove himself once again. You can see him taking a few breaths and calculating himself, just thinking about his plans, what he wants to do in this series. And they're going to definitely be performing for us today and giving us a great series no matter what happens, Sam.
We're just about ready to get into this. We've got Jaedong's first pick, Dominator. as our first match. Of course, Light going to pick Deja Vu immediately after. Such a good map for Terran versus Zerg. We'll see if either player is able to take a map on their opponent's pick. We're jumping into this first game, guys. Here we go. Game number 1 between Light and Jaedong in the round of 8, season 19 of the ASL. Let's get it started. Jaedong over here in the top left. There he is on screen, and Light gets bottom left.
Ooh. That's the worst possible spawn for a Terran here, Saiyan. That could be just what Jaedong needs to get a little bit of a tempo going forward in this series. Game number 1 is also important in setting the tone and putting your opponent on the back foot and getting some wind behind your sails and making you feel even more confident in your execution and planning. This is going to be kind of crazy if Jaedong's able to exploit this. This pocket behind the minerals in the main base in this like 6 o'clock position is just so hard to defend once they get down into that pocket with some mutalisks. It's very rare that Terran can kick those mutas out once they get into a good position down there, able to slow down the tech buildings like the starports and science facility going up, as well as getting some easy kills on these SCVs. You just can't place your turrets in appropriate enough positions to keep that at bay.
So what are we feeling here? Valk rush, or are we going to go into a mech play? I think there's a pretty good chance that we see a CC first into mech on this position from Light. I think that is a good possibility here.
Right, and if Jaedong doesn't go for like a fast pull here, he definitely could get away with that, and he hasn't. He's not throwing down anything. It's probably just going to be a 12 hatch from him. So if Light does go for this, it would be insane, but I don't think so. He's probably just going to do a normal wall in, maybe a 1-1-1 Valkyrie build here to try and shut down Jaedong's ability to dominate him with Mutalisks, especially with the spawn position. That might come into play. Like the fact that he got this position in the bottom left might be making him adjust his plan ever so slightly and not want to go for something too middle of the road. He might want to try and seize air control away from Jaedong and prevent that the back pocket of his main base from being exploited a little bit too much here. By the way, can I just say, while I still can, I was so excited for this game today, I couldn't even sleep. I got like 5 hours sleep last night. It was insane. I was like a kid waiting to wake up in the morning to open his presents.
That's awesome. Shout out to everybody who's watching live, by the way. SCTVEN on Soup Live. You guys are amazing. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, and you can make it out to 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time if you're living in Europe or something like that, get over here and watch live. Join the community. Join everybody else out here. It's a lot of fun. We're having a great time. We're having a blast.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just super excited for these games, so why not catch them live?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Please go and support us over there and check them out live, so you don't have to wait many hours later. I think it's like 12, 13 hours later that you see it premiered on YouTube, so you could be catching it a little bit earlier than anyone else, get ahead of the curve, and also show us some love there. It would be greatly appreciated. Like scouting first, also got a Marine on the way. Wants to potentially get the Lings to chase this SCV around while coming in to the natural expansion, but he thinks better of it. He doesn't want to poke in here with this one Marine to deny some mining time. Just kind of seeing if he could get away with that and then deciding better of it and just pulling this Marine back to safety. Doesn't want to risk any kind of tempo lead going Jaedong's way, especially with his spawn location in the bottom left. Losing any Marines right now could spell disaster.
I'm really surprised to see him go 2 racks Academy here. That's not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting some sort of teched out play to kind of mitigate the fact that he was in kind of a bad spot for defending against mutas, but he's just going to lean into it, and we'll see if Jaedong misunderstands what's going on, or doesn't build enough sunkens or something, makes some sort of mistake thinking that maybe Light won't go for Medic Marine. But so far, he's doing everything right. Gets rid of this SCV. He's got Lings in front of the natural. He's got this Overlord over top of the natural. He's seen non-stop Marine production. He's seen the number of Marines. I think he's correctly figured out or identified what's going on. Jaedong going to take a third over here?
He's probably the very top right pocket, not the high ground one, because he wants to make it harder for Light to scan that, I would imagine. One of the issues in Zergraz's terrain is not being able to identify where the third base is, and it's hard to get out there with a Marine to scout or something usually. So you're relying on scans primarily to find that. It just takes so long. The amount of scans you burn through to find a base like that is kind of crazy. So that will help obfuscate exactly what Jaedong's plan is. And yeah, you're right. Sometimes going for the suboptimal play, like there's 2 barracks academy, not technically the best choice in dealing with Jaedong on these spawn locations, but actually might pay off if Jaedong doesn't expect it. Sometimes doing the suboptimal play that your opponent doesn't expect will pay dividends if they're trying to optimize against something else. Light scans and sees only 1 sunken on the way, does see the Zergling speed, so probably will want to consider turning these Marines around at some point. Just wants to force more additional Zerglings from Jaedong and maybe a second sunken potentially.
One medic means 1 sunken's going to be enough here. Jaedong not going to overbuild those sunken colonies, especially not with that third base on the way already. That would really slow down his Mutalis if he was forced to build a second sunken here. So instead, he's going to survive with the 1 sunken diving on top of a Marine. Nice snipe there. A really good snipe. Getting a free Marine. That's going to be feeling very, very good. Getting a little tempo on his side. And now he's going to start to dive in, deal some damage to Light. And it's going to be very hard to hold this spot, Xun. Light, I mean, he's decided to do this. And, you know, knowing full well what's to come, it's going to be hard to hold this off. He's not got the turret in time. Are you kidding me?
This is beautiful from Jaedong. He understands that Light's going to prioritize turret production in the natural expansion. He knows, even though he's only got 4 Mutalisks at that stage, that he can potentially get into the main base and punish the turrets that are slightly more delayed on the barracks and main base locations. Exactly what you need to do in these high-level play situations where he knows Light's going to dot his I's and cross his T's where he needs to, but will also be slacking. Sometimes the best way to play this game is to kind of think, what is the most optimal play my opponent could make, and how do I punish that? And Jaedong's definitely thinking along those lines and is getting the better of Light thus far in this game. Even sniping the fire without losing a Mutalisk here is a pretty nice pickup. Third gas about to come online, giving him a total of 900 gas a minute to work with. That's a lot of potential Mutalisk. He could go for a Mutalisk all in and try and press the issue here, but I don't think Jaedong's going to necessarily go for that. He just wants to get as much value as possible, trading off the bio and limiting the capability of Light in coming out onto the map.
He can do a flyby here and go in on top of the tech, but would have to deal with a possible counterattack. Actually, Light is pulling back the Marines here, so this is exactly what Jaedong would actually want. He could fly back into that pocket, bottom left, and then just keep denying the tech here for a very long time. Gonna stop the turrets from coming up. Jaedong getting right in here. He might start to build Lings now that things are starting to get a bit chaotic. Start to punish Light, who's stuck on the bottom. Yeah, if you get on top of this ramp and just deny the Marines from coming back up, let the Lings do the work on the turrets, we could see Jaedong just tap Light out immediately. It's really going to come down to the micro here of Light, and getting these turrets online is crucial.
Yeah, we got an armory finally coming down from Light. He's like, okay, I guess I did need Valkyries after all, but it's a little bit late, Light. The damage has already been done for Jaedong, and he's in a pretty good commanding lead. Hydroden's also going up at the third base to do a transition as well. He's not all in by any stretch of the imagination. He is transitioning into Hive while putting on the pressure. Exactly how you want to play StarCraft. You want to grow while applying pressure to your opponent, and Jaedong is doing a masterclass of that right now.
Not diving in too far, not pushing the issue here. Hasn't really been able to slow down the tech of Light, but he's got his tech well underway. Really starting to drone up behind this also, and keeping the pressure off of himself by just keeping Light pinned back in his main base. Looks like Jaedong just going to go for a longer game. I'm not disappointed in this at all. It did seem like maybe there was an opportunity for Jaedong if you really wanted to go for the kill there, but he decides to take the safer path. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah, I mean, Light's going to be in a world of trouble, though. Going for these Valkyries with the Lurker transition, that means you've got no Irradiate or Detection to easily deal with these Lurkers out on the map. So, I mean, he could put himself into a really stymied position if he's not careful and end up snookering himself. I hope that Light isn't that foolish. He is scanning around to try and figure out what's what. He will see the Hive transition, despite not being able to easily identify the Queen's Nest that Jaedong put at the third base to obfuscate his exact transitional timing. So, Light will definitely be off in his calculations a little bit. He's going to find out the bad news now that Jaedong was transitioning this entire time and is nowhere near committed to this as he maybe thought. He did overmake Mutas a little bit to keep replacing the low HP Mutas out with fresh ones to keep the pressure on, but besides that, he has been fully transitioning, now throwing down macro hatcheries. He needs to be careful with these Valkyries, though, taking quite a few connections onto those with the splash damage of those Valkyries. Could spell disaster if he takes one or two more volleys for free like that. Has the Lurkers out in front, though. We'll be able to keep Light at bay. It's going to be a long time coming before Light has the vessels required to start leaning on Jaedong appropriately.
Yeah, this transition is really well done by Jaedong, keeping the pressure on, threatening to dive into that main base and keeping Light back while transitioning into these Lurkers. He's already got the Lurkers done and in position before any vessels are out and before any pressure can go down. A Valkyrie gets sniped as well. Oh my gosh, Jaedong is playing a beautiful game.
Yeah.
Dude, this is going to be really hard to break open. Light, where can he actually go right now? He's maybe going to build some dropships, but everything is so sewn up so tight. And that third base, I mean, you can't get in there with drops very easily.
Right, there is no easy path in this game for Light. He feels forced to try and make something happen, but I don't think he can. His best bet is just to kind of harass Jaedong, kill some of these Overlords with their Valkyries and use them as point defense, and deny a fourth base from going up by being tactical, like coming up onto this natural third here, killing some Overlords, denying any possible fourth gas being taken from Jaedong is a start, but losing these Valkyries like this is really probably, oh no, if he loses these two Valkyries as well, saying that might be tapping him out of this game prematurely. Jaedong is just waiting to pounce on this bio the second those Valkyries were to go down. Luckily, he does keep those alive, only one of the Scourge connecting. Now going to be taking a third base at 9 o'clock is Light and trying to stabilize the game state by improving his economic curve, but he's invested so much into these Valkyries, he has to make something happen now. Jaedong, though, taking a lot of damage onto these Mutalisks, so he now will be relegating these Mutalisks to mostly anti-drop defense while doing the full transition now. Has got some Scourge to ward away some of the Valkyries. Pretty nice slide micro from Light, though. He wants to press the issue. He knows there's not much anti-air for Jaedong. If he can supply block him and disrupt the ebb and flow of this game, maybe that's a way of him coming back, but I don't think so. Jaedong has overmade Overlords just in case that were to transpire, so he wouldn't be supply blocked, and he's fully transitioning. This is a beautiful game from Jaedong.
See some vultures heading out on the map now. Light realizing he's probably not going to be able to get in there. We'll just let Jaedong ruminate on 3 bases for the time being, start to lay mines everywhere, and try to contain while switching into mech. This is a bit of a tough position to switch into mech with, but maybe he can make it work. He's still got a pretty good size of force of bio. A 4th base hasn't been taken just yet, but Jaedong should be able to secure that pretty easily. There's the first 2 vessels out, dude. These are super late. We've already got, I think Plague is probably just about to finish up here, and those first couple of vessels are just heading out on the field.
I mean, it's insane when you think about it, saying, just hearing you say it does sound a little bit crazy. Going to be trying to secure his 4th gas now is Jaedong. Light does have these 2 vessels to start to apply some pressure. We'll be able to start to irradiate some of these defilers, but there's that plague you were talking about, saying this is the problem now for Light. He's going to have to get his transition fully underway and double expand. There's that mineral only. It's not the most ideal expansion, though. You'd rather have gas here, but it will allow him to get his production online with this mech transition. Has enough bio out on the map to keep Jaedong contained. Right now, he's just trying to keep the virus under control while he thinks about manufacturing and synthesizing some kind of antidote, some kind of cure to deal with this. It is going to be a full-on mech switch, but it will take a long time for that to come online and start to compete with Jaedong.
Yeah, for sure, and he needs a 4th base as well. He's going to start to take it over here at the mineral only. Has quite a bit of map control. You can see Jaedong scouting through. He's going to see everything with this one single Scourge. Knows that there's a mech transition coming. And we'll see if he wants to respond to this with Ultra or if he wants to go into Hydralisk Queen. I actually prefer the Hydralisk Queen switch, but we've seen a lot of players who have a bit of an advantage go into Ultra and still manage to make it work. I think that might have been an Ultralisk Scavern that just went down there.
I think he will go Ultras no matter what, just because of how behind the curve Light was with his tech timings. It would make sense, and you can still win as long as you keep the game scrappy. You know, lots of Overlords dropping and dive bombing onto those tanks. You do need to trade off 2 tanks per Ultralisk to be even on gas, so it doesn't feel good usually because the tanks just eviscerate the Ultralisks in most situations. But as long as you're splitting the Terran apart and keeping it thin, you can still make it work. Oh, catching some of these drones on the transfer to that fourth. That's a nice pickup from Light, trying to exploit this timing. Now he's Jaedong's desperately trying to get up to the high ground, but his mind screening that, making it hard for the copy. He's going to try and get the snipe on this hatchery, gunning down the Scourge as well with some good target firing to not allow them to kill these vessels. He is going to be able to kill this hatchery just barely. That's a great pickup from Light, and maybe the start of his comeback in this game.
That is a massive kill there. He does lose all the vessels, and all of these Marines are likely to go down. Maybe he can make a run for it here. Okay. Blag on the hatchery there. Just going to clean up these last few Marines and medics. That's the last of the Marines and medics, guys. And that might open up an opportunity for Jaedong to actually switch back into mutas. There is that possibility now that there's a lack of anti-air. He could pop out, 10 mutas go hunting for tanks. Right now, he's not positioned to do that just yet, but we'll see if he wants to make that transition back into mutas here soon. Well, not with 3 Valkyries flying around, that's for sure.
Yeah, you want to be a little bit more tactical about that and be a little bit wary. Jaedong wants to put some pressure on, though. Look at Light. He's just expanding like a madman. But 2 double expansions coming up in this bottom right pocket of the map. This is crazy. Light is definitely going to be able to outscale Jaedong at this rate. He needs to keep applying pressure to Jaedong and keep him contained and not allow him to come onto the map with these defilers and start levying some counterattacks his way. Jaedong knows that's exactly what he needs to do, though. He's starting to come out onto the map and contend with these minefields and put some pressure onto Light. Light, though, now finally macroing on all cylinders. Just with +1 attack upgrades on these mech units will take a long time to start outscaling Jaedong with those upgrades, but the longer the game goes on, the better it will become for Light.
There are some units over on the right-hand side for Jaedong. It seems like he doesn't know that there's these bases going up everywhere. Maybe if he lets those stay for too long, lets them all get online, maybe there's a chance that Light could really get ahead into a good macro position, but this attack is pretty strong. Getting right up on top of this. He's going to start to hit these SCVs soon. Has already gotten some kills. The tanks are there. Can't really do much against these lurkers under Dark Swarm, but the Defiler has been taken care of, so he can't push any closer. Looks like Light will hold for now. Jaedong with a bunch of army on the right-hand side, just not moving it when he could have denied this CC. That's going to be a big moment here if Light ends up getting away with that.
Yeah, I don't think he realizes just how aggressive Light's being with this expansion path. I think he's now going to check and realize, but the CC's already finished, so he potentially could save that by lifting it and floating it as well as getting some repairs, but actually he might not get the repair on this, he might get the kill on that command center. There's no way Light can save it. He has got this other one that's coming up in the high ground gas expansion, but Jaedong is going to get the kill on this command center at least, and that's a big win.
Yeah, these were kind of sneaky, hidden bases down at the bottom part of the map. And I was a little bit afraid that Jaedong wasn't going to scout that, but it looks like he's done his due diligence here, at least for that base down at 6 o'clock. He needs to find out about that other one here sooner rather than later. Actually, tanks are going to come down here and start to clean up these Hydras, so Light might be able to obfuscate for now. That's a lot of queens popping out, though. Jaedong's done enough of a slowdown on Light, and he's got enough economy going for himself that he may be able to get into a really strong position with a lot of queens here shortly.
Oh, absolutely. Saying it's going to be a whole 2 minutes until the energy is ready on those queens to start brooding in those tanks, but that's definitely going to give him the cost efficiency needed to deal with something like Mech. Mech, as it stands, is just so efficient in cleaning up Zerg units with the bare minimal amount of investment. Once it does get underway, you need to keep the Terran Mech as split as possible in smaller bite-sized manageable chunks to get the best value out of your army as Zerg. So he's going to try and keep Light's attention split on 2 fronts, especially on this eastern flank, so Light can't just push on the vertical axis to the rally point of Jaedong. Doing a pretty good job of that at the moment is Jaedong. Needs to also open up the map for his own expansion. He's going to be taking the middle only now while securing this high ground, utilizing the Defilers to sandbag Light if he can and buy some time with some Dark Swarms while he gets himself set up. It's going to be a long time coming until Jaedong has the Ultralisks and the kind of necessary army to just bowl Light over, but he's going to be waiting mainly on this Broodling tech to come in here with one foul swoop and just bowl over a massive line of tanks so that his army can start cleaning up the rest.
There's so many exposed tanks here. The Valkyries earlier were actually plagued. I'm not sure if they went down, though. They might have been sent back to get repaired. That's like the only anti-air that he has, aside from turrets here and there smattered around. So there's a possibility still of a switch back into those Hydras, or into those Mutas. But for now, Hydra's pushing up on top of this high ground. He's going to get Dark Swarm right next to these tanks, killing off some tanks, lowering that total number. The name of the game here is keeping the tank count low.
Right.
As long as he keeps that low, there's going to be not as much push potential for Light, and he's never going to hit that critical mass where he can just melt everything under Dark Swarm.
Absolutely, astute observation saying, yeah, you need to keep the tank count low and spread on as many fronts as possible. Here come the Queens. They've just barely got that 150 energy prerequisite. He's utilizing most of the energy on these vessels in irradiating lurkers and what have you, so he probably doesn't have enough EMP energy or irradiates to punish this Queen maneuver as well. Yeah, see, most of these irradiates are coming down onto Defilers and lurkers, which means there's not enough energy remaining to deal with the Queens. So maybe Jaedong can just come in here and absolutely eviscerate the majority of these tanks, get a big positional win by overcoming the rest of them. The Queen's waiting right now at this sort of 3 o'clock location while this hatchery comes online, biding their time, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. Light is pushing through the middle to the north right now towards Jaedong's rally point. We may see Jaedong forced to engage that with the Queens in a few moments here.
Making still a lot of Defilers, guys. This is a very hard style to play. Jaedong's got so many plates spinning, with Defilers consuming and trying to get their spells down. The Queens need to be split and sent in with their Broodlings to get their connections. Plus, you got to be making Lurkers and sending them under the Dark Swarm. Plus, you got to be macroing out all of the Hydras necessary to break a position. There's just so many things going on right now. He's struggling a little bit, but he does get a great trade with the first group of Queens. A lot of kills so far, and they did manage to make their way away. So once you get that first round of Broodlings and you actually escape out, that's when the value really starts to come through with these Queens. He's actually getting a few more hits on these Broodlings, and he will surround this first army. Killing off all these tanks is huge, resetting a lot of this count, Xun.
Yeah, it gives him a lot more tempo in this game, Sam, but it's not over yet. Light has done a pretty good job of splitting the map. The game is not yet over. Jaedong is in a pretty good position. There's still a few win conditions for Light. He just no longer can push northward to that rally point of Jaedong. He instead has to push horizontally towards this 3 o'clock location as his secondary win condition now. There's a couple of Broodlings remaining, but not enough to do the same kind of damage. Jaedong's going to be microing back and forth on the periphery, trying to keep those tanks at bay. Now doing a counter attack to this base in the bottom right pocket. He might be able to kill quite a few SCVs and potentially the command center as well. It's going to take a long time for Light to get his units up on the ramp to defend against. At the very least, he's going to snipe off this gas, which is a great way of siphoning off the potential macro potential of Light. He did decide to go for the snipe on the command center because of the repair from those SCVs, but did take out the gas to limit his income potential. To deny 3 tanks a minute from being produced is a pretty good win for him at this point in the game. Jaedong is looking on fire right now.
How many Queens does he have left? I did see quite a few Irradiates go down. Looks like he's got about 8 Queens remaining. That's not quite enough. Okay, there are some more over here at the top as well, so maybe a little bit more than that, like 12 Queens, something like that. That's a pretty strong army. You can get a lot of tank kills, and he will get one more here before this queen goes down eventually. I don't know if we actually do have EMP or not. It's really important that the Terran starts to track down these queens, get on top of them, and start to throw down EMPs preemptively before they can get these spells off. Oh, that's so many queens in a stack. Looks like he doesn't have EMP, though. Critically, not having that EMP means he's not going to be able to get rid of all of them. Just a few of these queens will go down with that Irradiate.
Right, we did get a shot on whether or not he did get an EMP off. I don't think he did, which is, yeah, really crazy if he didn't get that spell, because he definitely needs it. He could have had opportunity there to just, you know, blanket those queens with one good EMP is enough to win the game in a position like this. If he didn't get that, that gives a lot more lifeblood for Jaedong, but he's still waiting on energy to get the broodlings. He's only got a couple of queens. He's going to commit some cloaked raids. They're going to hunt down these queens. Jaedong needs to run away with these queens right now. Has a couple of Hydras to defend against them. Does get one or two of those queens. Luckily for Jaedong, had a round of Hydras to fall back to with those queens. Could have spelled disaster. Really well played from Light to utilize these cloak waves. You have to hunt down the queens actively with something, either EMP or Wraiths is great, maybe even Valkyries. Just something to hunt down those queens is absolutely critical in a game state like this. Light doing a pretty good job of it, but hasn't yet got the muscle to come in here to this 3 o'clock to close out the game. So far, Jaedong is holding the line.
Jaedong holding the line for now, but he's starting to get choked out and cut off from that bottom right-hand corner on that extra main base there. Oh, the scan comes through. He's going to find these queens. Bringing up the raids. Crazy. Can he actually catch onto these? Looks like he's going to get a bunch of overlords here in the middle of the map. But these queens will be safe for the time being. I don't see a lot of anti-air with this. Light pulling out some sick tech here. That's a lot of wraiths to start hunting these down. It's a very different way of dealing with the queen play, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, so far so good for Light. He has another wing condition. Now he's got a favorable position. He can push vertically again and try and pressure Jaedong out and squeeze him slowly but surely out of this game by getting on top of some of these mining bases. There's not a lot of income for Jaedong right now. Every drone and resource is precious. So if he can take out this base, it's going to be huge. Jaedong knows that he's trying to press up onto this high ground as a response. Here comes the big round of queens, a massive blanketing of broodlings cloned onto those tanks. All but 4 are taken out. The race weren't quick enough in responding to that, nor can they get the punish on the escape vector. So far, so good for Jaedong in holding the line. This is an absolute insane game. It's so back and forth, an amazing tug-of-war, maneuver warfare from both sides.
It's so hard to tell how this one's going to go, guys. If he catches those queens, though, at any point with this many wraiths, he's going to be able to gun down so many. It's going to be up to the splitting. You might even want to get ensnare at this point. With this many wraiths running around, getting ensnare would be just insanely sick. But he might forego that. Just how crazy this game has been. There's too many things to think about right now.
Oh, absolutely, but we finally have a maxed out mech army. Jaedong's been almost maxed out. Hasn't quite got that +3 melee upgrades. That's not such an important upgrade, though. He's got most of the upgrades he needs in this game. Jaedong trying to surge forth with some units here on this tank line to the east. That's a little bit exposed. Just 5 tanks, a few vultures, and a couple of turrets, but it's not enough to break through. Light is looking really stellar in this game. He's consolidated his position. Now with these 3-3 upgrades, can trade more and more effectively and push the issue at this 3 o'clock. Jaedong is going to be feeling a lot of pressure in dealing with this. He hasn't got a lot of brooding energy as well after that round of queens. Defended his mineral only. Jaedong is up against the wall right now, and Light is trying to splatter him.
Some lurkers under Dark Swarm is really going to sandbag this bush, slow it down by a lot. Give Jaedong a little bit of time to start putting together a defense. Oh, a plague on every wraith! Whoa, we missed out the plague of the century there, hitting every single air unit. If he clears that up now, that's going to be so hard actually for him to, or for Light to repair all of those. He kind of has to, though. Everything will get cleaned up so quickly, and then the queens have free reign.
I mean, a unit of 1 HP does the exact same damage, though, so he actually does need to find these Wraiths with a Hydra or a Mutalisk can actually take all those out. For the time being, though, that is a little bit of breath of fresh air for Jaedong, not having to worry about those nearly as much. They can't shark around the map as willy-nilly as before. We'll have to be a little more tactical about how he utilizes these, especially when they're in Cloak. Wants to make sure they've got enough energy to keep chasing around the map to try and hunt down some Overlords and Queens when necessary, but can't just chase them forever now. He will be losing all of those if he makes a little tactical mistake. Light knows that he's got a great win condition, just pushing horizontally into this 3 o'clock location. He has done a great job of that thus far. Jaedong, though, has enough resources available to him to keep him at bay for a few more moments. With that Plague, makes it so much more harder for Light to hunt down these Queens and find additional win conditions. He's mainly banking on breaking Jaedong at this 3 o'clock location, and so far Jaedong's done a great job of keeping it at bay.
He's pushed him far enough back that he can start to try and take this base over center right. Light still has a lot of resources to work with. Sitting on, what is this, 6 bases? My goodness, 5 bases. That's going to give him a lot of time here. Oh gosh, getting hit so many of these Broodlings. Finally, with the energy back, he goes in for those kills. These Wraiths are coming forward, though. Are there any Hydras over here? I don't see any. Okay, they pop through. He can start to target these down, and the Wraiths will have to back away. Dude, he hasn't repaired these at all, so it's very hard to engage and actually start to snipe down a bunch of these Queens.
Yeah, Jaedong wisely hiding the Defiler under the Darksworn to protect it from that Wraith. He knows with these Lurkers under Darksworn, they're almost impenetrable to the forces of Light. The great screening units, he does have to keep refreshing this Darksworn almost every minute here, but it's doing a great job of screening Light and keeping him from achieving his win condition. Light's going to feel a lot of pressure now in making something else happen, and it might not be enough. Jaedong's going to start hitting him at some other locations and keeping him spread a little bit thin and utilizing a few Queens here and there to soften up the Terran metal and make it very difficult for Light to find any kind of favorable trade. So far, so good for Jaedong. Light's also becoming mined out at these bases, whereas Jaedong's getting this additional base online at that 3 o'clock location. The longer this goes on, the better it will be for Jaedong. He just has to maintain the game state.
Guys, we're 30 minutes into this game, the first one of this 7-game series, and it's already this insane. What kind of series are we getting ourselves into today, Xun? This is wild.
We won them. Yeah, we warned them, saying we told them exactly how crazy this was going to be. They probably thought we were a little bit over-exaggerating just for the hype. No, guys. We call it how it is here. With Saiyan and I like to just, say exactly what we see and think and feel. We're not going to over-hype or over-exaggerate at all. It's as crazy as we say it is. This series, this tournament has been absolutely stellar stuff. I'm super stoked for whoever wins this. This is a great tempo set for the series. This game number 1 is absolutely insane. I have no idea who's going to take this. It looks like Jaedong is holding the line, but there is still some counterplay for Light to try and make something happen, but he hasn't been able to get in it and snipe these Queens. Look how good Jaedong's playing at protecting his Queens.
Yeah, he needs to get another round of Broodlings out here. For now, just holding the line with a bunch of Lurkers and Darkswarm. Seems like Jaedong has begun mixing in those vessels once again. He knows that in order to get through that in any meaningful way, he's gonna have to utilize a lot of Irradiate. So he's starting to work that direction. This is a big spread of tanks here, Xun. It's gonna require a massive supply of from Jaedong, and look, he's almost maxed out. He's almost ready to fight this, but he needs to get the perfect engagement, and he has to hit all of his Broodlings. How many are gonna get through? Light, he's got a lot of Goliaths here ready to dive. He's still got some of these Wraiths as well. Here's another Lurker trying to get under that Darkstorm. We've kind of hit that point, what I talked about earlier, is the point where when anything tries to run forward, even under Darkswarm, it just dies anyway because there's so many tanks.
Yeah, he needs to get the lurkers already borrowed under that Dark Swarm to have any hope at holding that line. They won't be able to survive getting into position, then borrowing again. He will lose so many units for free. This is kind of a wild game. Jaedong's trying to counterattack the 6 o'clock location. Luckily for Light, he's got plenty of vultures to scoop those up. But here comes another round of queens. I don't think there's any vessels in position to EMP this, though, so you'll be getting some pretty good cloning cycles on those lines of tanks. Keeping Light at base, got a floating command center, just hopeful, waiting to be able to finally take this expansion, utilizing it for scouting to get some, preemptive warnings on when these queens are coming in. But he needs to screen with these vessels, get some good irradiates on these queens, and start to punish him.
Oh my gosh, I thought he was gonna go for the command center with the queen. Come on, man.
He should. Come on,
go,
get it.
Get in there. Oh, okay, it dies.
That's a bit unfortunate. That would be super hilarious to see an invested command center at this stage in the game. We have pretty much everything under the sun except some Devourers and some Ensnare. This is absolutely a wild game number 1 in this series. 33.5 minutes in, and it's such a hard game to call. Jaedong, though, coming out into that with a massive counterattack on this western flank. If Light is spread too thin by consolidating all of his tanks at this 3 o'clock location, there will be a window for Jaedong to come in here and punish Light. I hope he's got enough defenses back. They have got some massive minefields and lines of tanks to work with, but if he gets some mine drags into these tanks, that's going to be great for Jaedong. So far unsuccessful in that. Jaedong will have to retreat from that effort and instead try and clear out some of these buildings at the 9 o'clock. There's a little bit of compensation here. Light's doing a great job of holding 2 fronts simultaneously and is starting to isolate Jaedong a little bit here, but Light is slowly becoming mined out. He needs to take an additional base. Maybe he can take this middle only of Jaedong here at the 3 o'clock to supplement his income.
I'm surprised we haven't seen Jaedong take top left just yet. Feels like he could get a hold of that, especially once he's cleared out some of the buildings over at center left. But it seems like Light actually wants to move in that direction, try to take over that area. Queens are going to rotate around now because there's not much anti-air over there on that left-hand side. Mostly just pure tanks. 2 vessels go down. Ooh, a bit of a mistake there from Light, letting those tanks or letting those vessels fall. That's really gonna hurt, man. He needs vessels to bust through any of these positions from Jaedong. He's playing such a great game of keep away with those defilers and lurkers now diving on top of a lot of these tanks. As soon as the mass starts to siege up, he does have to back away, but he got a lot of kills there. Now could look for a bunch of broodlings on that as well. So many tanks sieged up on top of each other. It's not just the broodlings that kill, but also the splash damage from all the tanks firing at the broodlings after the fact.
Yeah, Light did a great job of not losing those tanks. He pulled them back at the right time to avoid too many losses. Now he can re-seize this pizza slice, take the high ground advantage. Jaedong taking a moment to just compose himself before tapping out. He knows without killing that tank force on the west, there's no way he can stop Light taking that base, and eventually he will be cut out from any hope of out-trading Light the longer that game goes on. He's just going to tap out and save himself. He doesn't want to lose too much of his own steam. There's a lot more games that could go that way in this best of 7. He doesn't want to drain himself too much, both mentally and physically. Was really well played there from Light. He had one last hurrah of getting on top of those tanks on the west, but he couldn't quite get it. Light did a great job of pulling those tanks back and sieging them up in a more favorable position. What a game number 1, Saiyan.
Absolutely sick, Xun. That's not the tech that I was expecting for Light to pull out against those queens. I really expected EMP. It's proven to be such a good solution to dealing with those big clumps of queens, and instead went for the Wraith play. Turned out all right, though. I mean, he won this game, but it was such a slugfest. Didn't have very many vessels to actually cut through those lurkers under Dark Swarm, but he eventually managed to put it together. Dude, what a crazy, crazy series this is turning out to be.
Yeah, we're really spoiled for choice here at the ASL. It just keeps getting better and better. Like almost every series we have, we think, oh, wow, this is the best series of the tournament. And then the next one comes around and it's just getting crazier, saying who knows what's going to happen in the rest of this event. This series, though, is turning out to be absolutely stellar. I don't even care who wins at this point. I just want to see it go the distance to game number 7 and see some great games of StarCraft.
I completely concur. Guys, we're going to take 3 minutes of break time. We'll be right back after this for our set number 2 on Deja Vu. We'll see you in a minute. We are back, boys. Game number 2 is just about to begin. That first one, absolutely insane. Going over to Light on Jaedong's map pick. That's a huge swing in momentum.
Yeah, that game number 1 going Light Sway is going to be a bit of a tough nut to swallow for Jaedong, it has to be said. That was his map pick, and it does set the tone for the rest of the series. One thing Jaedong can be happy about, that it wasn't a one-sided affair. It was a really big slog where it came down to the wire, just barely having slightly better engagements. Light was able to utilize those cloaked wraiths to full fruition, denying those queens from getting too much value that game. So I don't think Jaedong could be too upset about how that game went. He does still have a good chance in this series here, but definitely a big tempo swing for Light going forward.
Absolutely, and Deja Vu is pretty much Terran favored. We could end up seeing Light go up 2-0. That doesn't mean the series is over, though. Jaedong absolutely can make a comeback from there. It's totally possible. It's just a lot of momentum so far on Light's favor.
Yeah, it looks like the online prediction slightly going Light's way. 56% of people online think Light is going to be the guy to take down this series. So far, that is coming to fruition, but anything can happen. You can't count Jaedong out. No matter who is ahead in this series, 2-0, 3-0, it's not going to matter. It's still potentially going to come down to that game 7 between these guys. So stay tuned, because we have no idea who's going to end up taking this series down in the end. Jaedong, though, taking off his jacket, regulating his temperature, making sure that he can fire on all cylinders without overheating.
He doesn't look too phased, and Jaedong is the type of guy. Look at him. He looks so calm. He looks just so casual here. We've seen so many players in the ASL so far look incredibly heated, incredibly stressed, but Jaedong, he does not look tired at all. He is ready. Just another day at the office. Look at how calm he is. Let's go, guys. Game number 2. Deja Vu. Let's get it started. Here we go. Light. Top left. Jaedong. Over here in the bottom right. Jaedong, yeah, for sure, the type of guy who can handle going down in a series. Even an 0-3, he can bring it back. It's completely possible when you're this calm and cool under pressure. So many people would be completely tilted and destroyed mentally after a hard game like that. 30 minutes of just grinding, but Jaedong here, I'm not concerned about his mentality at all. Hopefully he can give us another great game with some good ideas here. Light, same thing, man. He is completely set in stone. His face like a rock. Nothing gonna phase him.
I mean, these guys are so calm and collected. I'm surprised that Dolly Parton's Working 9 to 5 isn't one of their choice of music. It really is insane how it's just another day at the office for these guys and keeping their nerves in check. They've just played that many games in offline and online events. They're not really nearly as phased as some of these newer up-and-coming players are. They're able to keep things in check. Just look at the laser focus from both sides right now. Just a normal wall-in coming out from Light. No crazy aggression thus far. It would be interesting to see if he goes for like an 8 racks or something to really put the hurt onto Jaedong, but seems like he's content and just playing a straight up game, especially with how that game number 1 went. I imagine he's going to be feeling really confident at playing very middle of the road builds and not needing to do anything too special.
So far, just opening up with that wall. We'll be popping the Marine on the outside, but it seems like it won't come into play this game. Jaedong opting for a hatchery here right off the bat. Gonna drone scout immediately after cross map situation, so naked Marines aren't going to be as powerful. And also, there's a potential here to deny the scout from Jaedong. He's got to make his way all the way around the top of the map here before he can get into that natural, so maybe Light can pull something sneaky out.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm really curious to see if these guys have got some like really crazy build order that we've not seen before. Like sometimes in the ASL, people have been like cooking up something that they're not going to show online until it's ready, maybe to just one single practice partner that they really trust, and they've got it waiting in the wings for a situation like this. Usually you don't want to pull an ace out of your sleeve like that until, you know, the semifinals or finals, but this might be the time to do it as well. We might be seeing some craziness at some point in this series that we haven't really identified. That's an extremely mineral optimized lair from Jaedong, like 251. That means that he's been making sure that all of these drones are getting the maximum possible minerals at any possible junction. They're going to get some chase micro with the spines, giving the hawk tour to this SUV, as you say, Sam.
I put quite a bit of damage on that as well. Actually, it's kind of surprising to see this much damage going out this early. He's brought it down to just 3 hits remaining. Almost got the chase micro here. Is he gonna get it? He's got it, Xun. He's got it. There it is. Dude, taking it out before even a single Ling is birthed.
I mean, I think Jaedong should, like, you know, get a meme coin going for that drone or something and do a little rug pull for that drone, because yeah, he's definitely going to be getting a little bit of a fan base. That drone is really pulling his weight, and a very quick macro hatchery coming out from Jaedong. There's another thing we've been seeing from Zergs. Despite optimizing for that lair timing, they're still kind of getting their cake and also being able to eat it at the same time by getting that extra macro hatchery out and not fully committing to that spire timing. If Jaedong is hitting all of his mineral optimizations perfectly, though, he can squeeze it out. It's just so hard to do. Someone like Saiyan or I would have no chance at pulling off a build order like this, because he is basically optimizing the lair timing while still going 2.5 hatchery. It's kind of bonkers when you think about it.
Just hitting every single beat in his build to absolute perfection while chasing down the SCV with that level of chase micro. It's wild to even think about. This game has so many levels, and we're just privileged to be able to watch this right now. It's crazy.
Well, absolutely, Saiyan. So far, so good for Jaedong. Has got this SCV trying to sneak by, drone ready to block that on the ramp, though, to obfuscate the exact timings of build order. So he might be thinking this is a normal 2-hatch muta pressure build, when really it's more of an optimized macro build with this additional macro hatchery on the way. Has that sunken as well, finishing up. Light might not be able to punish this with these naked marine forces with only 1 medic to back them up. So he has to wait for the medic to catch up to the marines. He can't just stim in here and kill the sunken for free if there's a few lings to support. He will still maybe try and pull the trigger on this, though. If there's not enough lings in position to jump on top of these marines, he might pull the trigger on targeting down this sunken. He is going to do that with these slow lings not able to get on top and pounce that. He has to pull the drones and run back to safety. This is a nice little win for Light to come in here and do some economic damage early on. Jaedong getting a little bit too brazen, and Light is going to start punishing him despite the cross map spawns making it hard to get in here. Oh, the fire bat saying, oh, that's a lot of dead drones. He's roasting these drones and making some beautiful Korean barbecue here to, you know, kind of make sure his marines are well fed on their expedition. They're going to be feeling like this is a great way of spending their summer days, but are going to be taken out before able to finish off this spire. So Jaedong is stabilizing, but that's a great early win for Light in this game.
Oh, I had no idea that Jaedong was getting that greedy and that optimized, man. Not even getting Ling speed here. Completely foregoes that upgrade, and now he gets punished immensely. Can't even use this hatchery, by the way. That 3rd hatch just gonna sit idle for now as he tries to re-drone off of this. Light is in a fantastic spot. Jaedong has kind of thrown away all the hard work that was done early in this game by not having the forces and not having the 2nd sunken colony there in time. That upgrade as well, foregoing that, was a huge mistake. Now diving in on top of these SCVs, he's got to get so many kills here, Xun, to make up this deficit. It is so rough. He has managed to re-drone quite a bit. And with those few kills, he's going to loop back around, see what else he can do here, because it's looking desperate.
He's got 4 so far. He needs probably about 8 to kind of stabilize the economic curve of the game. Usually you're only looking for like 5 or 6 of these kills before transitioning, but yeah, losing like 3 drones or 4 drones early on to that pressure and that lost mining time, he's going to be feeling a little bit more pressure to come in here and snipe a couple more SUVs at the bare minimum, like putting a 4th turret there so he can stabilize mainly with turrets and now go out onto the map with a push to force Jaedong to come meet to him. Good reaction speed from Light, getting ready to pounce onto those mutas the moment they come in. Marines desperate to try and make some ground across the map and go back into square formation to turn on those mutas the moment that he needs to. Does manage to snipe one of these medics to limit the energy potential so he can't just overstim and push across the map for free here. So Jaedong is going to hold for the time being without having to make any additional defenses, but desperately needs to get a 3rd base online and start transitioning.
Transition underway here for Light. Double Stargate, Starport is coming online. Jaedong has managed to recover his drone losses from earlier, having a pretty reasonable economy to work with now. Was able to do that because of all the Marines and medics he took out in that push. Finally, Light has put together another force that can move out and start to challenge him. But will he be able to shut down a 3rd base potential down at 6 o'clock? Jaedong gonna grab that hatchery, like scanning around looking for that base in order to pressure it, but I don't think he's been able to find that just yet. Will have this tech coming online soon, so probably not the best time to push anyway. Just waiting for something to come out of those starports, whether that be a vessel or some Valkyries to really put the hurt on Jaedong. I think Valkyrie would be a great choice right now. Vessel not too bad either, just in case there was a transitionary building out here somewhere that he didn't see.
I think the vessels would be superior just because he's done enough job at, warding away Jaedong without having to worry about too much anti-air, and he knows the transition for Jaedong will be underway soon, so going straight into vessels to keep the pressure on is probably the smarter choice. Valkyrie's not so good at dealing with lurkers, despite being able to help him out with these mutalisks, and I think Light's done a more than a competent job in dealing with that. Jaedong's hands are moving so aggressively right now to keep up with everything that he's shaking the camera like crazy, trying to make sure he can trade off some of this bioforce to limit the potential of Light. Beautiful surround though from Light to isolate these mutas in their attempts at coming here and shaving off some of those forces. A few lings waiting to the south of those to see if they could maybe come in there and do something. I don't know if he's going to do a Sulky-esque style cleanup on these bio. There's just not enough here for the Zerg to make something like that happen, I don't think. Jaedong is trying to get this 3rd base underway, but he hasn't yet saturated it. He's just making Mutalisk and Zerglings, waiting for a cleanup force to deal with this bio ball initially before transitioning.
He's actually got to get this going right away. He's on a clock right now because Light is about to have vessels out here. He needs to take this engage soon. Wipe this force out. Here we go. He's going to dive on top of everything. I think this is enough here soon. He will kill everything just barely as those reinforcements come into play. But down here at the bottom center, he's going to start to lose some drones. Diving into the natural doesn't seem like the best idea. Killing all of these medics is a good compensation. More lings coming up here. He's actually sending nothing down to that bottom center. Okay, lings will come down here to deal with that. It's a little bit hard to see brown on the minimap. Wish they would choose a different color, but it is what it is. Hard to see. However, he does clean that up at bottom center and will get his 3rd gas online here shortly.
He's made a bunch more Zerglings. If Light just camps inside his natural expansion and doesn't try and push out onto the map, he's going to be in a great position. He should realize that because Jaedong isn't saturating his 3rd, it must mean that he's overcommitting into making units. Light just needs to sit and turtle right now and not pull the trigger on coming out onto the map. If he does do that, he's going to get cleaned up again. Jaedong is now finally going to transition, take the gas and start transferring over some drones to that 3rd base. Light needs to wait for a few more rounds of units before pushing out and making sure that he's got some additional energy so he can throw out more and more irradiates onto this clump of mutas. He's now got 4 vessels so he can start to push out onto the map a lot more safely. He's waited the right amount of time before putting some pressure onto Jaedong. Jaedong is going to be feeling a little bit of pressure to get himself into a favorable game state right now. As long as Light executes correctly, he's going to be feeling fantastic. Jaedong might actually be going for a little bit of a base trade scenario and sacrifice his 3rd base and maybe just go for a backstab here. I don't know if that's the right call from Jaedong, or maybe that's the only thing he can do.
Maybe it's going to be really tough here with all these vessels. And no hive here done just yet. The hive is on the way, but it's pretty darn late. He's gonna lose this third and trade it for nothing, Xun. That's the worst possible outcome. I guess actually worse would be to throw everything into the natural and just lose it all, but I guess now at least he's still got something to work with. It's just not very much, and it's really getting hammered here by these irradiates. Oh my god, the irradiate being so strong there. Ouch. Oh my gosh. Really strong cleanup here from Light. We kind of expected it on Deja Vu, but this is still a lot of momentum going in his favor, man. Making that one little mistake there, a great attack by Light, but skipping over Ling's speed and only having about 4 Lings? What was he thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. He's kind of gambling on hoping that Light would make a little bit of a misstep. But, you know, if you try and give your opponent some rope to hang himself with and he doesn't do it, you're sometimes in just a bad position as Jaedong. Light is just so good at identifying the decision tree that he needs to go down to make sure he avoids those kinds of disastrous positions. You have to be really careful about how you deal with Light in these offline events. He's one of the most scariest players in Terran versus Zerg when it comes to offline. Online, he doesn't look nearly as fierce, but I don't know. It's just something about his presence when people play against him. It's almost like they got the fear of God. Usually they're feeling scared up against Jaedong because of his history, but Light is not phased by the record that Jaedong has under his name. He's not completely thrown off his own game when dealing with someone of Jaedong's ilk. So Light is the perfect guy to dismantle Jaedong in this series in an offline event. Jaedong's going to be feeling a lot of pressure. Is his map pick now? Game number 3 going to be on Radio, and I hope he can keep his nerves under control going forward here, Sam.
It's time to lock in. Can't be going down 0-3 in a time like that. Even with the nonchalant attitude he's shown so far, with the calmness he's displayed, I think it's really going to start to get to him if Light takes another game, especially on his map pick. He really needs to start the comeback now. Getting a little bit worried for Jaedong, guys, but he was looking great right up until that moment where Light broke through. Everything was flowing perfectly. He had some amazing optimizations in his build. He just optimized a little bit too much. He went too far with it, not getting Ling speed, 1 sunken colony and only 4 Lings. A player like Light will just bust you, man. He's looking for that. He did the similar sort of push in the game previous, and it was only barely held back because of the Ling speed and that 1 sunken colony. He had all the tools the last game. He knows how to handle it. He had a great start. I just don't know what went through his mind deciding to, cut those corners there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either, saying. Looked like Light was really going extra hard, though. He even grabbed his shoulder for a brief moment at the end of that game, like his arm was struggling to keep up with what his brain was telling it to do. These guys are absolute machines. It's like they've got mechanical artificial intelligence brains, but only like meat sacks for their bodies to work with, and their hands can't keep up with what their brains want them to execute. It's like Jaedong having some technical difficulties, though. He's got a few referees over checking some things, trying out his headset. I did see him take off his headphones and put them back on during that game, taking both hands off the keyboard. I don't know if he was having some technical difficulties during that game, but now we've got a whole team of referees and staff members over there testing things out and making sure that Jaedong's setup is as it should be.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on over there. We're going to hang out and wait as it gets figured out. I actually didn't see that, Xun. He really took his hands off the keyboard and adjusted his headphones during the game?
He took his headphones off. Yes, he took both hands off, grabbed his headphones, took them off, and put them back on. I thought for a second he was just adjusting how they were sitting on his head, but maybe he had some kind of audio glitch or something and his headphones stopped working or something. I don't know, but something weird happened with his sound that game, I think.
So, guys, how it works here in the ASL is they've got little earbuds that actually play the game sounds, and then they have these big over-ear headphones which are playing some sort of white noise that kind of blocks out any outside noise, making sure that they don't hear anything that's going on in the studio, the announcers, the crowd, or anything else. Very important to keep everything on the up and up. Make sure nobody gets an unfair advantage, but maybe something with that very complicated system went wrong. Something with the larger headphones or the in-ear headphones. Anyway, it's been worked out now, guys. We're ready to jump into this next game. Game number 3. 2-0 so far. Light way ahead. Can Jaedong start to bring it back? Let's find out. Cheers ring out in the crowd. Jaedong spawning down here in the bottom left. Light top left. Both players have a lot of fans out there. Jaedong, I think, one of those guys, kind of like Bisu, has been around for so long. He was kind of characterized as a bad guy for a long time in Kespa. It was kind of a funny thing that they used to do, was make the Zerg players out to be some sort of villains for the other,
like the heathen wrestling or something. Yeah.
It was kind of funny. That's why he's the tyrant, right? It's not exactly a positive nickname, but it is what it is. They were trying to build a hype, and it kind of stuck. So I like it. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, you always need that guy to shake your fist at in events like this. I'm happy when things like that happen. It's all good fun at the end of the day. You just want to see some good games and either root for or root against a certain type of player. Would be really cool to see Jaedong pull out some craziness in this series to kind of reestablish his dominance, but he might not be feeling like that. He might be wanting to just play a straight up game here and do nothing too crazy, not wanting to risk his tournament life by going for a risky play, which definitely probably makes Light feel more comfortable as well. You might even be able to throw out a 14 command center at some point and get a very big economic lead in one of these games. Hasn't elected to do that here though, which makes me think that Light is super confident, or a little bit worried that Jaedong is going to go a bit unhinged and do something crazy. Usually you'll see something crazy after a really long game. Like after game number 1, we had a big long 35-minute game. The fact we didn't see anything crazy in game number 2 makes me think that Jaedong wants to play a much more safer, standard way of approaching this matchup. Both players feeling confident they can take it down without taking any unnecessary risks, but so far Light has definitely been getting the better end of that.
We are on, I think, the biggest map in our pool. Yeah. Polestar bigger? I think they might be a similar size.
It's a similar size, but the rush distances are a little bit different. The rush distances on Radium, of how the ramps are set up, like it's a 38-second rush distance ramp to ramp. I think it's a tiny bit less on Polestar, but still pretty big.
So, one of our biggest maps in the ASL, going for a macro game. Kind of a expected choice here for both players. He's going to be throwing down his CC back at home. 1 Rax CC. We'll have to see what he follows this up with. So far, the 2 Rax 2 Rax Academy has been working out really well for him. I wonder if he sticks with that or if he tries to mix it up. Light has such a great range of play. He's able to do so many different styles of builds, especially in this matchup. I would be shocked to see him stick with just one style, but hey, if it's working, then why would you even bother to change it up? Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what he wants to go for here. But so far, he's definitely been outmaneuvering Jaedong. I hope that maybe there was something going wrong in game number 2, and Jaedong will now be feeling a lot better without any kind of audio glitches or what have you in this game. But look at this Naked Marine move out by Light. He's going to circumnavigate any Overlord scouting and sneak all the way around down here. Even going to be bypassing this Zergling. Jaedong's not going to spot it, and he's going to get a lot of drone damage for free. These Zerglings are too busy hunting down this SCV in the main base. He thinks he's safe because of the Zergling scout. And as a result, Light's actually pulling back. Jaedong also had a good read on this and started pulling his Zerglings back into the natural at the right time. And this Zergling scout is now going to see that he actually kind of got away with murder a little bit there, because Light could have pulled the trigger in coming into that natural expansion. Zergling speed now finished though. Light made the right call in turning around, because with the Zergling speed, they can catch up and punish these Marines appropriately. Look at how well timed Light decision making is. He knows that these Zergling speed could have punished him, and he's forced Jaedong to make a lot of Zerglings in dealing with this move out, and now won't be able to get much compensation for them.
Yeah, Light really needed to keep these alive. He's not gone for a 2-racks play, instead going into a very fast eBay, looking for that +1. Likely the +1 attack, could be the +1 armor, though we've seen that a little bit more recently. It's a possibility he could be going for that as well. It starts to, or it kind of helps out your SCVs against the Mutilus harassment, and so I've seen it gaining a little bit of popularity. Also helps out, of course, against the Mutas with the Marines, but maybe not as much as the +1 attack. We'll see if he goes for that, though. Not able to get in here at all. Jaedong hiding some of these Lings over to the left-hand side, but Light's probably pretty aware of that. Just sitting back at home behind this wall and getting ready for this +1 timing, I think is the best bet here, and I think Light's got the same idea.
Yeah, he's just going to throw down a bunker to protect his natural expansion while he's distracted dealing with the Mutas in the main base. Oh, a nice little tactical snipe on that SCV with some Zerglings being a little bit annoying here. Going straight up to 4 racks is Light, so he's got enough bio to come out onto the map and establish himself regardless of the Mutalist pressure later on. He's going to have to make sure these turrets are well protected while they get on. Oh, Jaedong going for a run by the bunker, wasn't quite finished, but does manage to barely finish in time, trying to exploit that point of weakness. Wasn't quite quick enough though. Now going to be bullying back these Mutalisks is Light, protecting these valuable turrets from going up online and protecting and zoning out these Mutas from coming in here and punishing his production zones. So far so good for Light.
Yeah, Light is getting set up. He's ready for that a +1 to come online, but until it does and the range comes up, it's going to be a bit difficult for him to fight these Mutas. So Jaedong really does need to get some damage going now to SCVs. There was one killed earlier in the main base as well. It's not quite enough, but as long as he can get 5, 6 SCVs here, he should be feeling pretty good about the position. A little bit of a misstep there. Still 7 Mutalisks here. Another misstep. That should have been a one-shot kill, but he wasn't able to get all the Mutalisks to fire. Let's kill a few more Marines. There's another couple of SCVs and a third one. So he's done the damage that he needs to. Time to start fighting this bio that's moving out on the map.
Yeah, this is kind of a catch-22 when you're trying to snipe SCVs. You can use a manual move command to make them all snap and align and kind of guarantee firing, but it also means they maintain acceleration when approaching their target, so they'll fly deeper in against those turrets and make you take even more damage. So sometimes you're trying to hedge your bets on when you can get away with that. You don't want to just pull the trigger on diving in top of those SCVs and allowing more of those turrets and Marines to spray down your Mutalisk. So kind of hedging his bets and getting some economic damage without taking too much damage onto these Mutalisks. Now needs to start killing off and shaving off some of those Marines. Pretty late factory though, it has to be said. A big investment from Light in coming out onto the map early with a slightly larger than normal bio ball, which does slow down the tech transition and getting these vessels underway later on. So maybe Jaedong can still smooth out the curve of this game if he can somehow deal with this bio ball and take Light to the barbers and give him a little trim.
I don't see a whole lot of Lings yet, just the Lings that were made initially. Sitting off there to the right-hand side, Light looking for some stray units that he can pick off for free. Light's sending a few of his forces down towards this natural. If Jaedong's not careful, we could see 5 Marines walk right up into the natural and start to get kills here. He's going to dive in on top of this. Ling's getting in on these bottom Marines. He does lose a couple of Mutas. Dude, can he hold this? This is quite a few Marines that are left over. I think there's enough Mutas to dive on top of it, but how much is he going to lose in order to trade this out?
Right, that's the thing, is Light could force the issue and make the Mutas come to him and then trade out pretty well. So far though, Jaedong did a good job of reinforcing these Mutas with the high HP ones. Got a nice stack going, and we'll do a cleanup on aisle 5 and take off a lot off the top right now. Hopefully getting rid of the majority of Light's fringe so he can see the game better. Does look like he's got a slightly superior haircut. Jaedong's fringe ever so slightly coming down over his eyebrows. I hope that doesn't get annoying. I'd be feeling pretty annoyed if my fringe was touching my eyebrows while I was playing. I don't know how Jaedong can stomach that, but it is what it is. He does look pretty good while doing it. Look at this though, Force coming down to the bottom right. There's nothing down here to defend this. Oh no, Light is going to be feeling great about this. The Mutas are out of position and he can do nothing about this bio ball coming down here to punish all of these drones that are more or less undefended, and the Hydra Den is down here as well, saying this might just be game over for Jaedong. He has a bit of exasperated breath leave him, as not only the life from his lungs leaves him, but maybe his chance in this series. He might be going down 0-3 in this series with that devastating blow in the bottom right.
Jaedong just didn't think that there was another macro round out yet. He underestimated Light, who had forces already heading out on the map when that first bio ball was getting cleaned up. And so he was able to dodge the mutas, head over to the right-hand side. Jaedong gets to the natural, doesn't see many Marines, but he doesn't react to it. He just thinks that there was no Marines made during that cleanup, apparently. And not going out to check for this bio ball was a huge mistake, and so Light ends up killing that base. It's almost impossible to come back now, but Jaedong is going to try for it anyway. He's got the hive on the way, and the attack from Light was kind of late. Maybe he can make some lurkers and go in, but he hasn't even tracked this down. Oh my gosh, he lets it walk into the natural and just go after the drones. He's going to lose so much. He has to leave this game. Dude, Jaedong kind of falling apart here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Jaedong, but he is unable to perform currently, that's for sure. And this is what Light does best. He cuts SCVs and squeezes out just a little bit of extra juice out of the orange than you expected, and suddenly there's units there where there shouldn't be. It's like I Love Vuv back in the day. He always just seemed to make more stuff than he should be able to, like he was hacking or something. And Light is able to do that. He's able to find these crazy timing windows, and that's exactly what you need to do as Terran, is find these razor thin 5 to 10 second windows to really dismantle and completely pull apart the Zerg during those transitional points of weakness. He just wasn't ready and set up, and his scouting information was a little bit lacking. Jaedong starting to fall apart in this series. Don't count him out though. Anything can happen in StarCraft. Just one good game for Jaedong to reestablish his mojo is all that it might take to do a reverse sweep here. It is possible. Crazier things have happened in the history of this amazing game.
Let's see if Jaedong can bring it back, man. I'm scared. It feels like Light has his number. Especially in that last game. Jaedong looking shaky, man. Really, truly shaky.
Right.
Built a ton of links to defend that initial Naked Marine move out. Didn't really come to anything. And then missed that secondary Bioforce. The cleanup was pretty good. I gotta hand it to him. The cleanup was very good on that first Bioforce, but just thinking that Light wasn't doing anything behind it, that he hadn't built another wave of Marines that was going to be sent out, that's crazy.
Chug. Seems like these guys love this energy drink, by the way, saying, like, you just see these guys in the audience always chugging it when the camera comes onto them. The guy on the left here, he sometimes in the past would chug these as well. Haven't seen him do that for a while, but sometimes, occasionally, these casters will also chug.
Yeah, very nice sponsor for the ASL, guys. We don't have a sponsor here for the ASL English cast. Aside from you yourselves, those of you who donate gems in the live feed here on Soup, and those of you who support the SCTV, the StarCastTV Patreon. We really appreciate you guys. Hopefully someday we can get a energy drink sponsor. Which energy drink company do you think would sponsor us, Xun?
Yeah, I'm not actually sure, Sam. We'll have to figure that one out. But it would be kind of cool to get a little bit of a sponsor there. I mean, I don't know if we need energy drinks. I feel like I can talk fast enough without any kind of stimulants.
Okay, so no energy drinks then. What other sponsors could we get? for the ASL here for the English cast of this ASL.
I really don't know, Sam. It would be really funny to have like something silly. He's even pouring out a few drops onto his head after not being able to finish it completely. Everyone's just going mad in the studio right now. There was a moment ago where the lady on camera couldn't quite react to being onto the spotlight and take a significant enough gulp of it, but pretty much everyone in the studio audience is just chugging this stuff as soon as the camera rolls their way. It is pretty funny and entertaining at the bare minimum.
Gallon says Dunkaroos. Dunkaroos gonna sponsor us. Does that still exist?
I don't even know. Do you know I would really like to be sponsored by? Like Cats, the pastrami sandwich restaurant in America. Oh my days. Let's get sponsored by those guys and get some sandwiches sent our way on some sourdough bread with some mustard. Yes, please.
That sounds really good, actually. I could go for one of those, but Dunkaroos, never heard of it. It does sound kind of like an Australian food, doesn't it? Well, guys, let's just take a little break here before we go way off the way off the wall, way out to lunch. We're gonna take 4 minutes break, and then we'll be back with game number 4. Hopefully, that's not going to be the end of the series, but who knows? Anything can happen, guys. 4 minutes 30. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. Don't worry, it's not over yet. Jaedong is down 0-3. Light is one game away from closing out this series, but I have faith. We talked about it right at the beginning of this cast here today. Jaedong has the experience. He's got the willpower, the motivation to go long, to take a reverse sweep, to make it happen. I don't know if he's got what it takes here today, but I have faith, guys. We're going to see a long series here. Polestar, Light's map pick. Is this the moment for Jaedong to start to bring it back?
I really hope so. He's going to have to be a bit of a sun god worshiper, saying, but we're going to be jumping right into it. It's going to be game number 4, round of 8, Jaedong versus Light. Game number 4, match point. It's going to be Polestar. Let's get it on.
Jaedong down in the bottom left, Light here in the bottom right. Has so much leeway in this series, can do whatever he wants, pull out any sort of build that he thinks is good here. Could see BBS, we could see 8 racks, we could see a really quick gas build, some tech 1-1-1, or he could just stick with his guns, do what's worked so far for him, and clear out this series cleanly. Try to shut out Jaedong. Don't allow him to get any momentum back in this series.
Yeah, there's 2 ways of thinking here. You might be thinking, hang on a minute, why doesn't Light just try and end it right now of like a BBS and just try and kill Jaedong and take a risk? That's not necessarily the best idea. Giving Jaedong a win right now is definitely going to do a lot for his confidence and his mojo in the rest of this series. That's exactly how you allow a reverse sweep to happen. It might just be smarter for Light to play really solid, really safe, and wait to close out one of these next few games. Just one time going his way with the trades is all he needs. So 10 racks actually from Light, so might be applying some early pressure with some naked Marines. Not a fully committed like 8 racks kind of pressure build where he needs some compensation, but does allow you to squeeze out some earlier Marines to put on a little bit of disguised pressure.
Jaedong hasn't been too good at dealing with these early pressure plays so far, and so leaning in on that, a pretty good idea here from Light. We'll see how it goes. SCV gonna scout. Looks like cross map potentially, just going straight cross map. We've seen more players go for a cross map scout recently. Looks like maybe going up to top right. No, okay, he does go up to top right. He's gonna scout Jaedong last, assuming he doesn't see this drone coming in from this angle. Then he'll just change the trajectory of that SCV. Yeah, he does see the drone now. Can just go for this scout a little bit more efficiently. We'll get in there and see exactly what's going on, but Jaedong sending out this very early drone. He knows absolutely everything here, and he's going to force an extra SCV off the line. This is really nice for Jaedong.
Yeah, he sees the timing of that Marine popping out before 2 minutes 30, so he knows that this is a 10 racks play, and there's a chance that there could be some early pressure from those Marines if he's not careful. So hopefully he won't get caught with his pants down chasing this SCV with his Zerglings for too long. He should have it mapped out pretty effectively where he won't get punished for free here. So we should be seeing a pretty normal game no matter what transpires.
Yeah, hatchery finishing up now as the CC begins. What will Light's follow-up be? Really curious if he wants to go for another quick eBay play. Maybe he will get this 2 racks out. There it is, 2 racks a CAD is going to be the follow-up. So sticking with his guns, man. This build, absolute bread and butter build for a player like Light, who relies heavily on Eminem, who's so strong with that Marine medic control. One of the most mechanics focused, intense ways to play. This is what's burned out the most people's wrists, I think. Like, if you talk about this to any Terran player. This is the hardest style. This is the one that takes the most attention to detail and the most actions.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a very high execution oriented way of playing. You don't have to like kill them with this initial 5-minute timing with the stim. That just allows you to punish the Zerg that's being too greedy. You can just bank up those bio units and go for a much stronger timing later on, making it very difficult for the Mutas to fight against that huge swell of bio ball and forcing them to commit into a lot of Zerglings to support those in cleaning that up, which also means there's less drones being produced back at home and kind of compensating for the fact that they'll be cutting SCVs.
Back at home, Jaedong not going for a 2.5 hatch in this game. Only able to afford the 2 hatch play so far. We'll be sending out a drone over towards top left. Getting that 3rd base here a little earlier on. We'll see if he's able to dive on top of some of these Marines. There we go, jumping right on top of this as he's coming through the wall. A bunch of those Marines at the backside actually glitched out. He's gonna get quite a few kills here. Yeah, a bunch of those Marines actually turned around and started walking back and forth behind the wall in, and Jaedong got quite a few kills. A little bit of a mistake there from Light. The way that he was moving forward was open to getting punished, and now Jaedong, he should have a pretty easy cleanup. Not going to be broken this time on one sunken colony, that's for sure anyway.
Yeah, it's just too difficult. I mean, there is technically a world where you can run by the sunken with the fire bat, but it's just too risky going for a play like that. Any additional Zerglings will easily handle a play like that. It's just not worth it. They can also even just target down the fire bat and make sure they pull the drones to avoid losing anything to it. There's no real hope of Light punishing Jaedong now. It's going to be allowing Jaedong to go into full Mutalisk mode and try and put the pressure back onto Light and to establish some kind of map control here going forward. If he can get this win under his belt, like we've said a few times already, it's going to be so good for his mojo going forward in this series. He needs to establish himself. Oh no, that's a big mistake from Jaedong. Bit of a missed rally error, taking a lot of free damage onto those early Mutalisks. That's not what you want to see at all. He's distracted chasing around this firebat in the top left, and now it's coming back to bite him a little bit. He didn't lose a Mutalisk, so it's not the end of the world, but it's still pretty bad.
Oh no, dude, he's still got this rally point at the front. Who puts their rally point for their mutas to the front of the Terran base?
Saying a psychopath.
That is crazy. No Zerg player on Earth does that. It is wild to me that he has that going directly to the front. He wasn't paying attention during that moment. He's gonna lose one muta and 2 of them dropping all the way down to a red HP. This is so hard to fight now. He's gonna have to build a lot of mutas to be able to deny this, and Light is gonna run with that. That's a big advantage for Light.
And this is not a full commitment from Light. He's going 3 racks into a pretty fast factory behind this. So we'll have a much more crisply timed tech to deal with this as well. Won't be as much bio to come out onto the map, so maybe Jaedong can establish map control yet again. Start taking Light to the barbers and shaving a little bit off the top with this bio ball, keeping it under control. So far, so good for him. Light going to be going into a much more traditional middle-of-the-road way of playing this matchup by getting a fast factory online to make sure his vessels and upgrade timings are as crisp as possible. Pretty good target firing to get a couple of these Mutalisks down during this trade, hitting about 3 of those before losing his ball. So far so good for Jaedong, but he hasn't really got a strong transition. Like, this is very mediocre so far. He needs to really dig deep and make sure he capitalizes on this small window where there's not that much bio. He needs to push the issue right now and keep trading with this bio if he can.
Another Mutalisk goes down at the front in basically the same spot as the original one at the rally. Its rally point is still there.
It's still there. It's
what crazy. Is happening?
He's a psychopath that has very little threat detection, saying when you and me would be thinking that it's a life and death situation, he just registers it as a moderate threat. It's like that Resident Evil film where Nemesis identifies Alice as only a moderate threat and everything else is a minimal. That's kind of like Jaedong right now. He's doing a pretty good job of trading off these bio units, though, getting on top of those. See, that's exactly what he needs to do, like I was just talking about, is punishing this small timing where Light doesn't have a 4-axe production going. So instead, there's slightly less bio units than those previous games. Jaedong can keep better control of the game state by shaving off these bio units prior to that, like 10-11 minute timing when we're going to be starting to produce these vessels and have a radiate to deal with this. Jaedong has a window now to punish. Mulis can try and keep the Marines pinned down in the main base while Zerglings counterattack in the natural expansion, trying to target down some of these turrets. Light has to juggle, splitting up a few Marines into the natural expansion to clear up those Zerglings while dealing with the pressure in the main base. He is killing a couple of these turrets.
He is getting some of these turrets. All he needs to do is prevent the Marines from coming down the ramp, but he's continuously diving on top of the turrets here at the barracks. He's going after these with such gusto. He is going to lose a lot of the lings in the natural and not get too many of these turrets down. He is really going all in here, Xun. Everything has been sent to the front. There are no drones aside from the 3 on gas and top left. He is just all in on this Mutilus play, and he needs to get the win here or the wind is going to come out of the sails quite quickly. Diving on these Marines, he's actually killing so many of them. There's 1 turret left. The Lings are going to go to work on this natural, start to hit that last turret. He should be able to pick it off. He should be able to deny this base, but he's not going to be able to kill that CC, I don't think. And 1 turret comes up. He's going to dive on top of everything. Can he actually do it here? It's so close. He's diving on the Marines. He's killing off every single one. Xun, I think he's actually done it. It's so close. It is so very close. There's an irradiate here in just a few seconds. All these Mutilists are super low. There's no bunker or anything here for Light. All the medics are going to go down. Lings are on top of everything. I think he's just going to clutch it out. Barely. After so many mistakes, he is going to get this win, though. GG. Huge victory here for Jaedong. Bringing it back 1 game in this series at a time. It's a 3-1 now. The comeback, though, has begun. Jaedong with some momentum, some wind in the sails. Is that going to be enough? He was playing pretty sloppy in that game. Again, cannot believe that he had that rally point in that position. How many games have you seen Zerg win at the highest level when they lose, their first muta to the rally point? It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you just saw just how aggressive he was with those rally points. He was kind of planning for something similar to that from the start. That was absolutely insane. The Tyrant is back in the driver's seat, saying, what an insane series we might have underway here. The reverse sweep could occur. It's going to be Jaedong's pick as well on Metropolis. Some crazy shenanigans could occur there on this map, like, slow Overlord drops into the main base as possible. Can I just say, you did your best impression of me at the end of that game. Beautiful casting, really impressive stuff. We do need to keep up with these players. They play at so many beats per minute. It's hard to keep up with them. We're going to be doing our best in this series. I'm so impressed with how these two are playing. Even though Jaedong is down 3-1 in this series, he's reestablished some momentum, has the wind at his back. Can he establish dominance and take out Light on Metropolis? That's going to be coming up in just a few moments. I don't think we're going to break, Sam.
Takes a lot to get me spitting like that, but I was super hyped. Now that Jaedong's back in the series, this is super exciting, guys. I was getting a little bit sad as the maps ticked away, and while Jaedong was making all of those mistakes in that game, I was starting to feel like it might be over, but we are back, guys. Another game, another chance, another opportunity to continue this reverse sweep. Can Jaedong make it happen? Still a long way to go, but here we are on Metropolis. Let's get it started. Jaedong, top left, Light, bottom left. Vertical spawns here on Metropolis. I think one of the best new maps that we have, wouldn't you say, Xun?
Yeah, it's very fun. It's not necessarily the most balanced of maps that we've got, but it's certainly one of the most interesting ones. Death Valley as well, definitely a spicy contender. I'm really impressed with the map makers. They're coming up with these new ideas that are not too out there. Like those maps like 76, where I was kind of like tilting my head, like, really? You're gonna do that? Like, it just didn't really make sense. But these kinds of spicy maps, I'm all about saying. I love these kind of interesting takes. And I think the map makers are starting to dial it in, where they know just how spicy they can get without getting too out of control.
Yeah, it seems like since the name change, we went to Soup rather than ASL, they've been taking a little bit more of a conservative approach in picking these maps. Only one crazy map in the pool. It's certainly not as crazy as it used to be. I think the players are happy about that as well. Maybe some fans out there are like, man, I love the good old days when they pulled out, you know, a sparkle or whatever and forced these players to try and adapt. But boy. I think Death Valley is just the right amount of crazy.
Yeah, it's just the right amount of crazy. A cross-map scout coming from Jaedong, making sure there's no BBS in the center of the board to just eliminate him in this tournament. It is still match point for Light, guys. There is a little bit of momentum shift now. Jaedong got the tempo, got the driving seat, but he has to still make it go all the way here. He has to play almost flawlessly to avoid these razor-thin timing windows that Light is going to be trying to exploit. It's like he's maybe thinking about taking the fast nap. Oh, he's just going to be scout. Okay. I like this from Jaedong. He's just going to be making sure that he plays a very standard game again. I don't think he's going to be doing anything crazy this game. I thought for a second he was considering doing some crazy, like, 3 hatch before pool here, but I don't think that's going to be transpiring. It's going to be a nice little safe, normal 2 hatch lair timing. We'll have to see if he wants to be super greedy again and throw down that macro hatchery regardless of optimizing for lair timing. I hope he doesn't get too greedy though. We saw just how easily punished he was when he went for that in the first time.
I like him sending out the early drone. Check and make sure it's not some sort of crazy 8 racks or something. Just sacrifice a tiny bit of economy to make sure you're not going to die. I think it's a good adaptation. Like, you can't allow even one game to be lost to a play like that. Bunker here at the front. Yeah, he's gonna start to put some real pressure on this. This is not an 8 racks with a bunker, so you should be able to push this away, but it could get a lot of damage on the hatch and force a lot of lings. And so that's really what Light is looking for. 2 Marines in the bunker now. Let's see if he runs by here to deny more Marines. I think that's the right call. But a secondary bunker is on the way. Go after the SCV. He gets it and runs by. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now he can deny this SCV. And any more Marines coming up, we're going to have a hard time.
It's a beautiful... Oh, we can't get the SCV, though. The SCV sneaks past to build this second bunker. Small blunder there from Jaedong. Can still cut off the path of reinforcements from additional Marines arriving. Light may have to wait for 4 Marines before reinforcing this position now to make sure he's safe against these Zerglings. Has got a 3rd Marine on the way. But with these 2 bunkers finishing up, it's going to be a little bit hard for Jaedong to get the right prerequisite amount of Zerglings to clean this up efficiently. It's about 12 Zerglings to efficiently kill 1 bunker full of Marines, but 2 bunkers when they can switch to the other bunker when 1 is target down makes the calculation way more troublesome for the Zerg. They have to get way more than 12 Zerglings, close to 40. Oh, he's getting an interception on these Marines, not quite killing them though. Going to be doing a run by and trying to intercept them with the additional lings now. Going to be trying to get out onto the map with some Zerglings instead of killing these bunkers, which might not be the best decision, but it might be his only decision because he couldn't cut off the path of those Marines and SCV. Jaedong knows he's in a world of hurt right now. He needs to find some kind of compensation with these speedlings. If he can't, he's in a world of hurt, and I think Light is sealed up tight.
I'm in shock. Xun, why did he not dive on those lings that were, or those Marines that was coming up? There was 3 Marines, 4 lings. Could have killed all of those Marines. They just didn't pull the trigger. You have to save that natural. There's really no other way to do this here. I mean, he's got the layer done and he has a Spire on the way, but 1 base? I mean, how is this going to work for him? As long as Light just keeps making turrets, he should be able to win.
Yeah, he's going to try and punish the turret timing with his first initial 3 Mutalisks. It just won't be enough. Light should be able to stabilize and get everything set up accordingly to deal with that. One base Zerg versus Terran is absolutely awful unless you're going for some kind of really technical, like one base Lurker play and trying to exploit the Terran early on. But in this case, where you're just one base Spire, this is a 2v2 build, saying this is not a 1v1 build. So he's in a world of hurt. And look at this crisp turret timing from Light, taking 0 chances against the initial pressure of Jaedong. It is his tournament life, so he might stay in it a little bit longer, but he's going to see the bad news soon. He's kind of scrunching up his face in some rare display of emotions because he knows just how much up against he is. Even going to be sacking his Overlord before throwing his headphones off and typing GG. He can't do anything in that game. He has to tap out. Light is going to be the guy making his way to the round of 4 semi-finals to face off against Best next week. Jaedong looking pretty down. This series did not go as expected. He was playing so good this tournament up until this point, but Light just proving to be too successful with that great big Y pose. Where's the MCA?
Oh, Xun. I mean, my prediction came true that Light was going to be able to take this, but I'm not too happy about it. I wanted to see a longer series. I wanted this to go on, so I was really cheering for Jaedong there at the end. He really did whiff this defense. He really had the tools, but just wasn't able to put it together. The Ling run by was great. When he killed that SCV, that first SCV, I thought he was going to be able to put together a perfect defense, but he wasn't blocking the SCV. Wasn't able to stop that from getting up. The secondary SCV was really smart by Light, knowing that that first one was probably going to go down after it took so much damage. This was a great move. Only 2 Marines in the bunker. It takes so long to kill a hatchery. You can definitely get out enough Lings to actually deal with this, as long as you don't let the second SCV get by, and he let it get by. Oh, yeah, so frustrating.
Just a tiny little hex grid that he didn't have covered with the Lings, and the SCV slipped by on the right-hand side. Really unfortunate. If he blocks that SCV getting up there to build the SCV, or the bare minimum denies any additional Marines arriving, he's in an okay spot. If he can stop the SCV getting there, he's in a very good spot, and he'll easily clean this up. If the SCV gets there, but he blocks the Marines, he's in an okay position. But neither one of those things transpired, unfortunately, and Light is going to be the guy advancing to face off against Best. But don't worry, because Best is an absolute beast in Protoss versus Terran, so that's going to be an exceptionally fun series to both cast and watch, saying I'm looking forward to that one, but that's going to be next week. We're going to be having a Protoss versus Protoss between Snow and Rain coming up first of all.
And just like that, guys, 2 of the 3 Zerg players are eliminated. I can't wait to see the comments for people explaining how Zerg is still OP after, you know, the results here this week. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well,
it's kind of crazy, saying.
You know who's happiest about this? Aside from Light, StRyKeR has got a clear way through to the finals with no Zerg in sight. We won't be having that dreaded ZVZ finisher. So congratulations, those of you who hate that matchup. You're on StRyKeR, Team StRyKeR, I suppose, because he is very, very much favored to win now with nobody to really stop him. No other Zergs to stop him. I mean, which... Can it be Light? Can Light take him out? Can Rush take him out? I'm not so sure. Maybe Rain. You know what? Rain maybe beats StRyKeR. That's a possibility too, man. Who knows with Rain?
Who knows? I mean, he is a bit of a genius, but he just doesn't practice enough. I do think that StRyKeR would be able to dismantle him unless he decides, hang on a minute, because I'm in the finals, I'm going to dedicate more time to practice than usual. Then maybe I would say Rain has a shot at taking down someone like StRyKeR. As it stands, though, I don't think many people can do it, you know. Best does look a lot better in that versus Zerg matchup. So if it does transpire that he can take out Light in that semifinals, maybe he has an okay shot of it. He did look pretty good against Queen, but Sulky and Queen are two completely different calibers of player. Not too far apart, but far enough to be like, whoa, I don't know if he can handle Sulky. Sulky's just an impenetrable wall.
Sulky is insanely good, guys, and as much as we're kind of rooting against him here, it would be amazing to have him go through and do a 4-peat. Definitely Bonjour status at that point, guys. We haven't had a Bonjour for a long time.
Right.
Like you're starting to reach that pinnacle of StarCraft, that like god status someone like Light has only been able to achieve. Or excuse me,
I mean,
Flash.
right. I mean, we did consider other players Bonjour in the past a long time ago. A Bonjour basically just means anyone who's really highly skilled, but also dominant in the scene, like Flash was for so long. There's been a couple of other Bonjours in the past. Savior, for example, he was extremely dominant as one of the only Zergs able to perform at that level for a long time. There are a few guys like that back in the day that had that mantle, but not many since Flash. Since Flash. So this would be kind of crazy. If Sulky can get a 4th consecutive win in ASL, we're kind of obligated to start referring to him as a Bonjour because of that consistent domination.
Yeah, it's a bit of a silly term, guys, but we don't really have any other ways to describe it, any other good words for it. 4-peat in the ASL, though, 4 in a row. What would you call that if not a Bonjour, though?
Yeah. I mean, you have to give it to him at that point. He is just so good, and that consistent 4 titles in a row. I think we have to give it to him at that point. Even with the 3rd win, it was kind of like, okay, maybe this guy is a Bonjour. But with the 4th win in a row, it will be kind of, inarguable at that point, I would say. I mean, I'll certainly be referring to him as a Bonjour if he wins this tournament as well. It's just insane what he's been able to do recently, making Zerg look overpowered and keeping you guys extremely salty in the comments.
Yeah, a lot of salt going around in the comments, that's for sure. Hopefully someone can come and alleviate that this season. Rush, Snow, Rain still alive in this tournament. Light and Best. One of those two is going to be eliminated in the semifinals. Oh, it looks like a Jaedong fan out there. You could see a tear rolling down his cheek. A little bit sad to see his a favorite player go out. I know there's a lot of you guys out there who are big Jaedong fans as well. Did have a bit of a hiccup there. Did have some kind of disappointing plays. Surprised he was able to come back and win in that 3rd game, or that 4th game, excuse me. But just a little bit off today. Not able to put it together.
I just wanted one more game so we could have Death Valley or something. I just wanted to go the distance, I just wanted something a little bit more than that. Maybe not necessarily a game 7, but at least a game 6. I mean, come on, look, just one more game for Death Valley. Are you kidding me, guys? It is what it is.
Just barely out of reach. That's a little bit sad. At least we got to see Metropolis, although it was an extremely short game. Finishing us off with a bunker rush. I think that was expected. Eventually, you're going to go for a rush like that when Jaedong is playing so poorly against the early game harassment and tactics from Light. The naked marine pushes were doing so well in this series. Why not go for a bunker rush? Why not try to put on that early pressure? Because it seems like he's not capable of handling it. Anyways, guys, Best versus Light. That's going to be on the 12th. That'll be an awesome matchup. Next week, though, Snow versus Rain and Sulky versus Rush. Don't miss out on it, guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much
That's going
fun.
to be absolutely insane. Yeah, Rain is such a Protoss versus Protoss specialist. Snow has really good control, though, especially with his Reavers. Maybe he can make up some of that deficit, but my money would still be on Rain. He's just such a genius in that Protoss versus Protoss. I can't see Snow somehow winning 4 games out of 7 against him. Might be a close series, though, so don't sleep on Snow just because Rain is such a specialist. And then Sulky versus Rush. There's not many Terrans that could stand toe-to-toe with Sulky. Maybe Rush is one of them. He's a very experienced player and has some affinity for Terran versus Zerg. I hope he can at least hold his own and take the series a long distance.
Don't forget, Rush took out Hero in Group D in that group of death. That's the second best Zerg player in the world right now. So if anyone can do it, maybe a Rush. Might be him. Maybe Light too. I mean, Light just stomped all over Jaedong. Jaedong looking a bit shaky, but still really solid play out of Light overall. Probably could hang with Sulky as well. We've seen some series of him online versus Sulky, and a lot of those have been very close. I would be pretty happy if we got to a Light Sulky finisher, actually. That would be a lot of fun. Best Sulky would be pretty good too. We'll see, though, guys. Anything can happen. I think that, yeah, go ahead, Xun.
I was going to say, if you are watching on YouTube, guys, please don't forget that we are streaming this live on souplive.com on the channel /SCTVEN. We do stream these live there, so you don't have to wait for it to come around to the YouTube premiere VOD later on in the evening. You can catch it live about 12 hours earlier on that souplive.com /SCTVEN channel. Please check it out. We got over 100 guys, sometimes 200 guys watching it there. I know a lot of you guys do like to wait around for that premiere. I saw like almost 700 of you watching that live last night. Really do appreciate all of your support, but please don't forget that we do this live at souplive.com /SCTVEN.
Thanks for the plug there, Xun. Yeah, you're completely right. It's a lot of fun. You can get in here and chat with all the guys who are super passionate about Broodwar. We had a lot of names in here tonight. Even Naokin stopped by. Shout out to him for carrying the StarCraft scene for so long, for carrying the torch here at StarCastTV for so long. Guys, we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And we hope you have an awesome day. See you next week for that continuation of the round of 8.